So the real point of this video is not to, and before I start, this is not a video to call out people who are mentioned in the video. It's just to call out the mindsets that plague a lot of people in this game. It's a lot of hypocrisy. It's a lot of low blows. It's a lot of deflecting. It's a lot of saying, I don't believe in this and you shouldn't do that, and then doing something that's kind of the same or even the same thing, or having people that you know doing it, that you know they're doing it, and then publicly coming out and saying, hey, I don't believe in this, they should all be banned. Well, then let's ban your friend, because it's a two-way street. And I just want to say also that there's way too much tinfoil being folded into pointy little hats these days. Because honestly, everybody has an excuse for everything. If they lose a port battle, they see a guy in it who's a level 20, he clicks out, he has to be an X-teamer, he just ruined the whole fucking port battle, even though it's one guy. And it's like, hey man, like maybe it's just a young guy, maybe he's new. Like it happens, it's happened 1,000 times. And you're not gonna just get rid of it by saying, oh, it was an X-teamer, look, it was an X-teamer, we have an excuse, that's why we lost. No, just take ownership and be like, hey man, like we lost a port battle, whatever, one guy. Anyway, this video is just more of a rant about what, if all this stuff went away, would the game be better? Not really. But it's like, I think it would help a little bit, because right now it's just a disgusting argument between the same people over and over on the forums and in game, and just they're arguing about the same thing. They've lost what they're trying to even argue about. They've done so many things on both sides morally that, and they've said stuff like they'll say we should get rid of trash talking, and then they'll trash talk, and it's like, Jesus, man, like, you can't do that. You can't come across as like the saint and act like a shithead. You can't, argue about stuff that happened and say you can't look at it this way and then do the exact same thing. It doesn't work, especially when you're on both sides and you've seen both sides and you know both sides. And as a guy who just played Brit for a map and saw all the shit, all the bullshit, all the whining, all the complaining, all the this, all the that, all the, oh, Axe quit because there's X teamers, and then like 2 days later Axe is back, and then flipping nations to Spain and seeing all the same bullshit, all the same whining, all the same excuses, all the same shit. You guys are actually really similar. You get along very well. That's the kind of the funny truth of it, is that you guys would get along very well because you have the same excuses, same beliefs, same arguments, same bullshit. And it's like Jesus Christ, like maybe it's time to, step back from the game if you guys are this heated. And then, but please, for God's sakes, don't say some of you guys take this game like it's life and then proceed to do the exact same thing and be invested in it so emotionally that you're willing to get pretty feisty on the forums and yell at each other and argue in threads for days on end about the same thing you argued about last week, and then go, well, you guys take it like it's life. Like, so do you, mate. So maybe just calm down on that point, because like, hey, just like, it's a game. That's what you say, so take it like a game. Anyway, here's the video. Contrary to popular belief, the game is not all that's broken with Pirates of the Burning Sea. The community itself is a disgusting mess, honestly, and it has been for a long time. But with the decreasing player population, it's become much more exaggerated and noticeable just how bad the population is these days. So I took a few excerpts from the forums and a few threads on there, and from some YouTube comments, and it's just a very short, just a couple of posts from some prominent people on, I guess, both sides of the issue, and the two nations that are kind of relevant right now on Antigua, which are Spain and Britain, because let's be honest, France doesn't do anything, and there's no one there, and the pirates are the pirates. So these are just a few posts from, some more prominent people in a recent thread. There's a lot more stuff on there that's a lot worse and just makes you shake your head when you know both sides of the story, but that would be a very long video. So these are taken from the thread all about changes, balancing, updates, and other important stuff, which was started by Ed Wolf. And one of the main things on this little video will be just making sure that everybody knows who everybody is in this conversation. So that's Ed Clement, Nicole Blue, a couple other characters. But that's who that is. And so the first post is by Batakan Ania, or Attacking Ania on his British tune right now. And he's responding to, I think it was the second post here by Arthur X, which kind of put out like a little moral guide in his mind, right? It's very simple. It's pick one nation, be patient with new players, be nice, everyone's in this for the same reasons, all good stuff. But so Bit says, it's good, well said, but number one will never change. So that's, it is what it is, right? And he goes on to mention that, there's people who have tunes in all nations, they play one nation, they do all these other things. But he's kind of like this stuff with it, all of this stuff is so hypocritical that it really makes you sick. Because he's saying that like guys who flip ports have nothing to lose, and they do it to find fights. It's disgusting, and they pervade balance, and da 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 da. And it's like, well, then why do you log in a tune to watch Spanish chat? Why do you do that? Like, is this just because you put out the rules one way, and then you have your hidden little tune to watch chat and be a little spy because it's cool and it's sabotage? Like, you can't tell people not to do things and then do something that's similar or just as scummy or just as low. Like, why? Like, what's the point? Because, like, if I read this and says, they do it to find fights, well, what's the difference if they fight you on their French tunes or their Spanish tunes? They're going to fight you. It doesn't make a difference. If you sync them, you get 200 extra points in the port. Big deal. They're not even there to stop the flip. So it's like, it's like, what's the point? Like, and then he says at the end, the trash talk, I agree, has to go. However, the game being free to play is bound to attract this element of young kids who want to be tough guys. And it's like, okay, so trash talk's bad. But then why do you do it? Why do you say in port battles that so-and-so is terrible? Oh, he's bad. Oh, that Russian guy is terrible. What's he doing? Why do you trash talk? Why do you trash talk and then say, I don't want trash talk on the forums where it's all official, nicely typed up? Are you trying to look nice for that? It's just the hypocrisy of this whole thread, as you'll see, is pretty disgusting. So this next post is a little bit later in the thread by Ultima Chimichanga. And if you don't know, this is Rodel Turncoat. I don't know what his Spanish tune name was, but it's like Rodel or whatever. And he says, I'll admit, when I'm involved in a 23v12 or something like that, I've strongly considered joining the weaker side for that port battle only, just to make it interesting. Haven't done it yet, but I think about it a lot. So you are just saying there, you're admitting that the battles that are lopsided are boring, and you want to switch sides. But you're feeding into the issue here, because a lot of people quit this game because those 23v12s are very boring and demoralizing for that 12-man side. And if you've never flipped sides, then you're causing the problem. Like, why do you think some people play other nations after a map? They see it go from 24v24 to 24v10, then they switch sides and they make it even again. It's pretty logical. And so complaining about people quitting and nations dying and then saying, I've considered it, but I've never done it. Well, it's like, maybe you should try it, because you'd see the other side of the foot. Now, the second post here is by Hawks, whose name is in his signature, so there's no need to look for that. And he says he likes the sentiment of the thread. Of course, yeah, it's supposed to be a nice thread, but you'll see soon it just tailspins like the community. And he basically says that the biggest population is when there's a rivalry. And that's very true. When there's a rivalry, that is when the most people come to the game, because there's good port battles. No one's going, oh, we lost a port battle, we all quit. Axe quit, Bit quit, Bilbo quit, they all quit. Oh my god, we gotta. You'll see later. But anyway, so that's a fine post. And then Ultima Chimichanga comes back and he goes, understatement, curing cancer might be easier than changing the culture in the game. And it's like, well, again, hypocrisy. If you're part of that culture of making these forum posts that are absolute trash, or you're just arguing back and forth but not reading each other's posts, what's the point? You're part of the problem. So why are you saying curing cancer might be easier? You're part of the cancer. So it's like, oh, great, good post. Then Ed Wolf comes in and says the sad facts are that ex-teamers use the excuse to make the forces more imbalanced for their actions, but it's mostly lies. So I guess what he's trying to say is that ex-teamers say that the nation they're playing is underwhelmed, and that's why they're playing there. But that's usually the reason, because they want fights, they want good fights. They don't want to go to your side when it's a 24v10. They're not going to join your side and get in a line and wait. They want to join the other side. So that's kind of a weird statement there. I don't really get it. But like, the point of X teaming has always been to play the weaker side. You don't X team to the strong side. That doesn't make sense. So I don't know what that doesn't really make sense either. He then goes on to talk about how the Brits 2 years ago could win a map, and Spain was winning all the maps, and then Archer went Brit and won 2 maps, and da da da, and then people came back to the game and they started playing France and they beat, and then Brit, and then Archer left the game, as Ed says there. But that's a really favorable history. It goes more like the game was as it was, and Archer had quite a big following of people. They went Spain, and they started winning maps, and there was not really much competition. There was some competition from the Brits, a little bit from the French, but not much. And it was just like, okay, whatever, he won a lot of maps. And then, yeah, he won like 2 maps on Brit, and I played Brit for I think 2 of them, or maybe 1 of them. But anyway, there wasn't like, I was there. There was not a lot of competition. And then people came back to the game, as it happens, people come and go, and France got pretty strong. And Archer lost some port battles, and they lost some ships, and suddenly he quit. You can go look on the forums, it's on the forums, it's all there. And he basically just up and quit. And he was saying how, like, oh, I've already done everything, da da da. But that again contributes to the problem with this community, where it's like, if you lose a few port battles, you just fold. That's it. We're done. Close the shop. Everyone out. That's it. It's over. And you kind of wonder, you're like, well, like, wouldn't it be better if you just tried, you stuck it out? Like, sure, maybe the other side has the ominous vet Zerg of like 6 guys who don't care anymore, but you could probably beat them. But no, you just give up. You fold, we'll lose 1 map, map's over. And, it's like, now they play Spain, French, and Rat against Britland, and went back to the behavior. Ganking, account sharing, killing DC players, stacking PBs, playing 3 nations versus Brits, endless OS harassment. Right? Now, okay, Ed, like, we played a long time together. I like you, man. But ganking, Brits gank too. Everyone ganks. Okay, hello. Account sharing, you should look at Axe, your best friend there, who's like the biggest account share ever. Just tossing accounts out to Surge, to all these guys, logging people in. Guys come in teams, be like, hey, Axe, do you have an account for me? Yeah, oh, here's an account for me. Okay, so again, look at your own team. Killing DC players, you've done that. Stacking PBs, you've done that. Playing 3 nations versus Brits. Now, this is the one I never get, because I think there's just too much tinfoil hats. There's not a lot of people that play all 3 nations versus Brits, but if you want to believe that, go for it. Endless OS harassment. That is part of the game, so I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so let's move on. So the next post is by Ultimate Chimichanga again, or Rodell, and he's responding to that post, which is looked at by Ed, and he says, Archer left because he accomplished everything there was to accomplish in the game. He went to 2 previously dead nations, perennial losers, okay, revived them, and made them into winners. When I ask him to return, he tells me the game is terrible, and I can't be asked to put up with that anymore. That basically ends the conversation. Now, okay, he did accomplish everything. He won a map. Now, so has everybody else. So, okay, strong. He went to 2 previously dead nations and revived them and made them into winners. Now, I don't know what you take as revival, but when you bring 10 to 12 people with you, I mean, is that revival in a game where there's like 60 people? Is that just moving nations? Like, okay, and revive them and made them into winners. Well, yeah, I was there on playing Brit with you, and yeah, we won against nobody. So, good for us. And then when competition came, I went and played France, and we promptly lost, and Archer quit. And I guess he quit because the game is terrible. But, I mean, it was more like, well, he lost, and the vet Zergs, and buzzword here, buzzword there. Anyway, so again, like, you'll see his next post, which contradicts that post, because it's kind of like, okay. And Ed says that's typical for Archer. He took all the credit for winning and blame others for losing, and that's kind of true. Like, props to Archer, he's a good player, but he does do that. And then Rodell comes back and says, obviously, people see things the way they want to see them. I just look at empirical fact, and draw conclusions based on that. One nation loses, a lot, for 2 years straight. A few people go to that nation that needs help. That nation wins 2 maps in a row. Shrug. Well, when you went from the nation that was winning to the other nation, of course you're going to start winning. There's no one to play against. You're playing, like, this is what I don't understand. Like, you played as Spain, winning empty maps. You moved to Britain, won empty maps. Shrug, mate. / shrug. Like, grats. Like, what? Okay, anyway. And so that just, like, where he says, you see it the way they want to see them. He's seeing it the way he wants to see it, not from objective third-person view. And I remember, I was playing Brit during this. So I was there, we were winning maps, I was happy, sure. But it's like, hey man, these were empty maps. Like, hey, like, look, who are we fighting here? We're not fighting anybody. We're fighting a bunch of, like, a few Russians, and, like, no one. Like, what, I'm speechless, because he's doing exactly what he says people do in his post. And it's like, well, if you're going to do exactly what you're saying people do, then you're just doing what you say you do. And it's like, great, so I guess we get your view, rather than that empirical fact. I don't know what empirical facts are in a game where there's no empirical facts besides, like, what? What's empirical fact? That you won a map? Congrats. So now the conversation has switched to people on one nation, say Britain, owning the governorship, of another nation on France. So Ed is basically saying that not only the frogs have done this or had this happen to them, other nations have done it as well. And then Bit comes in and says, I personally believe that using an alt from another nation to take a governor of a port in a nation you're not actively participating in should be bannable. I do not think this will ever happen, though. It was done to Brits a couple times when Archer and other came over to Britland, blah, 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 and the crying was real. Anyway, I'm happy to hear that an action was taken against the other people, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I guess the point of this is that the hypocrisy here is, again, unbelievable, because his buddy, his good friend, Bilbo Baggins, Henry Sackett, his French guy's called Henry Squirrel or something like that. As this was written, he was the governor of Maracaibo in Spain on his Spanish tune while playing Britain. So should we ban you? I don't know. I mean, I also think that a couple maps ago, if I'm not mistaken, Caracas, when Bit and Archer and all these guys came to play Britain, Caracas was owned by one of them. Was it not Bit? I'm not sure. And if I'm not mistaken, it was never hit, because that was where you did your eco, and your little sugar daddy did his eco. So this is where he's now been confronted, I guess, with this fact that Bilbo Baggins owns Maracaibo. And Baldomero Moncada says, police your nation. The past cannot be changed, but the current behavior can be affected. And Bit comes back saying, this is Rich, police my nation. When your nation is guilty of sabotaging PBs in the recent weekend and has been taking government of Brit ports for 6 months for easy painless flips. So instead of taking the high road and saying, yeah, we won't do it, I'll go tell Bilbo, my friend, not to do it. And taking the high road and just being like, yeah, I'm going to just be a good guy. No, it's going to be, I'm going to make fun of your Spanish nation, because what he's talking about of the sabotaging PBs is that apparently some, I don't know if he's low level or level 50, came into a port battle, which was like 24, I think it was 24v24. And one little lobby came in on the Brit side, didn't talk, didn't communicate, and popped out. Now, I mean, like, after he popped out the wrong door and sailed away and then popped out. I mean, if I had a fucking nickel for every time that happened across fucking 10 years, I'd be rich. Like, you're like, ooh, that's the first time anyone's done it. Oh my God. Like, no, that happens so much. And 99% of the time, it's an actual person who's just fucking lost. you know? He just doesn't care. He does not going to respond to your tells. He doesn't want to talk to you. Is it a griefer? Someone purposely getting one tune in there to screw up your port battle? Maybe. It's happened 100 billion times. Live with it. You can still win. It's 23v24 and 24v24, where like half the guys are Russians and sailing the wrong way. You know, whatever. But it's just, again, like, no one ever wants to take the high road. It's always just, well, yeah, he did that, but he shouldn't be banned, even though I want him to be banned. Just, but you fucking look what you did. Like, okay, whatever. Just deflect, deflect, deflect. And then Rodell comes in and says, yeah, this is simply not possible. It would have happened in Spain last year when the double flipping was happening, sitting side by side in the red. Your post sounds a little judgy, just saying, like Spain is the model of all good behavior and the rest of us lowlifes are heathens who break rules as a matter of routine. And it's like, no one said that. One guy coming out and saying police your nation does not mean that everyone in Spain is speaking in that voice and saying you should police your nation. Like, do it. Like if you want conflict, you just say you want conflict. Why veil it and be like, oh, it's not possible in the Spanish model. You guys are so good, and it's one guy saying this, Baldor Moro Monk. I don't even know who that is, and you're saying like, why do you care what he says? I don't know. Like, it's just making more arguments. And this thread, remember, started off as like a sweet, oh, we should act together and be good and play together and be nice to each other. And look what it's turned into. So now the topic has moved on because this thread just, I'm surprised it hasn't been moderated by those great moderators yet. But now they're talking about fighting back-to-back port battles where British players fought a port battle with France in the morning, and they fought, I guess, some Spanish players. I don't know, I wasn't there. And then they had another port battle against Spain, and they all see their Spanish tunes and go, oh, look, we have to do it again. Now, I mean, I don't know, Rodell, like, have you, you're good friends with Archer, right? Now, there's a port battle, and it's actually on my channel somewhere as part of a video, where we fought the British guys, right? And then all of a sudden, they were all on their rats on the next port battle. And it was like, oh, fucking hell, mate. Like, should we make a port? Should we feel ganged up upon? No. You know what you do? You say, well, good, fucking sink them again. What? Does no one have any spine in this game anymore? Is everyone just, oh my god, look, they're playing against us again. It's the same guys we just beat. Like, oh my god, woe is me. You get 2 good port battles in a day. Like, fucking man up, take it, sink them again. You beat them when they were French, I'm pretty sure. So just beat them when you're on Spain. Like, hello? Who actually feels ganged up when that happens? Like, you win a port battle, you go fight the same guys, and I don't know if they won or not, but like, I'd be Christmas. Like, we just beat them. Let's go do it again. Let's take more marks. Demoralize them more. Like, come on. Like, whatever. And so then Easy Name says, and he's a mod. I don't know if I should say who he is in game because he's a mod, but I think a lot of people know. And he says, I'm glad you brought this up. I've been noticing the same thing. I've seen a preview where we had 2 normally French people who were joining the Spanish fleet to fleet Britain, And he goes on to talk about this whole port battle thing where there's other nations taking part in other nation port battles. And so Rodell is talking about having these port battles where it's like one nation is being artificially boosted. Now, let's go back to his earlier post where he said that he's considered joining the other side when it's like a 24v12. So you're admitting that you'd rather have a good fight, right? Because I think everyone can agree that it'd be better to have a 24v24 than to have a 24v12 where the other team runs to the fort, hides in fort, you clear town. Fucking boring. It kills the game. People leave because of that. They go, oh, I'm not going to come anymore because it's over. The map's over, right? So you admit that, but then you have a problem when Spanish people go onto their French tunes to artificially boost the numbers to 24v13, even though you've thought about doing it. You haven't done it, but you've thought about it. So you kind of know the motivation. But then you complain about it because you lost. What if you had won? Would it be different? Would you complain about it? Would you fucking gloat about it? What would you do? Because I have a strong feeling that if you had won both, you'd fucking laugh at them and be like, ha ha ha, look, they can't beat us on both nations. Da, 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 we're so good. But because you lost, it's like, well, they're fucking cheating. Okay, well, I mean, your view, but remember what you said earlier. Don't forget that you've considered switching sides because you understand that it's better to have 24v24 than 24v12. So just remember that. You know, don't get too crazy with that hypocrisy. I can't even talk, but yeah. Anyway, that's what it is. Now this next post is a definition of my fucking most hated thing ever in this game, and this is what it comes down to. A nation loses a few port battles, right? And they blame it on X teaming and tinfoil hats, and the fucking moon was in the wrong position, and oh, the voodoo person put the wrong curse on you. And they lost a few port battles. And of course, ships were wrong, and someone didn't listen, and he popped the wrong repair, one guy to 24, and that's why we lost. Anyway, so what I hate though is when they come out and say we've lost a few port battles, and it took the steam right out of us. Like, we're done. That's it. You know, we lost 2 battles. We're done. Like that. Look at us. We're just beat. Just move on. Quit the game. Go. Look. Just leave. We're done. I don't know what the point of this is, because it does 2 things. When you say it's taken the steam out of us, some Brits read this and go, well, I guess we're done then. I'm not logging in. And other people from other nations see this and go, oh, I guess the map's over. I'm not going to log in for any more port battles because it's not going to be good. It's going to be 24v12. I don't want to sit there and do town. I'm not going to come. But then, magically, the Brits come back with 24 and 21 and 24 and 22. And it's like, why do you say this? Like, why do you come on here and go, you took the steam out of us with this X teaming, and look at me, I'm the victim, and we're done. Just leave us. Don't kill us. Well, but then you're back with 24 people in Macedons, looking pretty organized. What did you say about being done? You took the steam's out? You're all shipping down. Oh, you're shipping up. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. And then he talks about Bridgetown, where there's a Spanish versus British port battle at St. John's, I believe. And Spain was attacking, sorry. And I distinctly remember this, and I was playing Spain, where Spain had basically 2 groups in the port battle. One speaking Russian, one speaking Spanish. And there was like no coordination. It was a fucking disaster, right? Like, this isn't like, I'm not looking at this biasly and saying like, oh, we lost because there was no coordination. But it was like, there was no coordination and we lost the battle. Did the Brits sail good? Yeah, they sailed fine. Nothing spectacular. I mean, the fleet was so split up, all you had to do was sail one direction. But then he says, if we had the same fleet at Bridgetown that we had at St. John's, and there were precious few who logged off, so a few people left, right? I don't know who, because when I look back at the video, all the important people who were in one battle were there, and I don't know who's missing, but someone was. I don't know who. He can fill me in. That the battle would have gone differently. Now, what he didn't see is that between those port battles, Spain hashed out some things, and the Russian group and the English group coordinated, and they worked together. And it wasn't just, your fleet changed because like 2 people logged off and like one other person logged in, and that's why the battle was so different. No, see, this is what you get when you see both sides of the picture. Spain actually reorganized their entire fleet, how they're going to run the port battle, who was going to lead, who was going to listen, how the Russians were going to be translated to. And lo and behold, the Brits lost. And it's like, now Bit didn't know this. So he's going off the presumption that they lost because 2 people logged off. And that's why. And it's like, maybe you should just consider other possibilities. It's not always about making excuses and saying, look, we lost Wilma and Axe, which I don't think they did because I think they're both there. But just saying that, like, oh, look, these 2 guys logged off, that's why we lost. No, maybe something else happened. Like, leave the door open. That is part of this community's issue, is that it's always something, and they know what it was, they know what caused it. It's that fucking guy, he's X-teaming. Look at him, that's that rat's Mo, or that rat's Flip. Like, or something like that. And it's like, no, It's not. Like, do you ever consider that that could be something else? Or this thing that you're so convinced about could be caused by something else? Like, like, for example, like, do you know that, like, rats flip ports around Matthewtown for red zones, not for the port battles? So when they flip Irish Point, which is a British port, but it's not actually a British port because it's taken. But when they flip that, they're not flipping it to beat you on the map. They're flipping it to make it red. But no, it's because they want to X team, take that port, lower our points so we can't win, and that's it. It's like, no, that's not it. So maybe just, like, think about it. And then Hard Name comes in and says, guys, Batakan is a master troll. Don't get upset by what he says. He's playing you like a puppet. And I don't think he's playing you like a puppet. I think he's just seeing it from one viewpoint only and not taking into consideration anything else. Because it's a perfect example where I know what happened on the other side. But to his mind, it's two people logged off, that's why they lost. Not, Spain actually reorganized their entire TeamSpeak structure just to make this work with Russian people. No, it's because two guys logged off, right? So, again, just open your mind, think about other things. You're not always right. And this last little thing, I guess, is from a YouTube video I put out. And this is from the video that I put out of Jakim, where the British fleet had like 21 people in, like, there's a lot of Macedons, fourth rates, and the Spanish fleet was like 23 or 24, all frigates, except for, like, I think there's like one third rate, I'm not sure. Anyway, and he says, and I kind of put, like, it's kind of sad that people talk about wanting fair fights and all this stuff, and then they dock up and when they have a gun weight advantage. And this guy comes in and says, if you would stop playing 3 Nation all versus Brit, maybe the game could be good. Bilbo and Bit both quit. Again, here's the thing again where it's like, oh, they quit. Don't kill us. Don't harm us. They quit. Well, I mean, that's not true because Bit's been in port battles like every day since. Was in one today as I record this, which was like 2 hours worth of port battle, which video is going to go up before this one. So, okay, and he says, don't expect anything in the game for a while. Last I looked, the port battle this morning was like 24v24 in like first rates and shit. So, like, again, why do you do this? Why do you come and say, Bilbo and Bit quit? No, they didn't quit, you dumbass. They didn't quit. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Stop saying that, because when you say that to people, people go, oh, I'm done for the map. I'm not coming back. You're hurting the community. Like I don't even know. So I said, I play 1 nation per map. You should check your sources before you claim things, because that's what I do. I pick 1 nation, I play on it, and that's it. And it's like, right now I'm playing Spain. My British tune was logged in to transfer an adventure, or a Hector deed, sorry, like a couple days ago, and that was about it. I haven't been on that tune since. Neither has my French tune, or my rats. And it's like, all you have to do is know who my fucking tunes are. Believe it or not, I haven't played for 3 months before. Took a break, came back, and I came back and said, well, where you been, you ex-teamer? You've been playing rat. And it's like, really? You think that? Yeah, I hadn't played for 3 months, and I have people telling me, I've seen your rat. Like, no, you haven't, mate. You don't know my rat. So then he goes, you may, but it's proven that several Dons will log on frogs or rats to fight both Brits and stack PBs. Oh, do you notice frog never hits Don? Don never hits frog. Rats only flip Brits. Brits' ports are attacked by all nations. It's lame. Now, let's just dissect this. So, several Dons will, in fact, go on their frogs or rats to fight Brits. But again, think about it, Troy Smart. Your name is Smart. Think about it. If they're on their Spanish tunes and they fight you, what's the difference between that and fighting you on their French tunes or their rats? What is the difference? If you fight them outside of MT in a 4v4 and they're on their frogs, what's it mean? What's it matter? Like, just think about it. What is the difference? There is no difference. Like, it makes literally no sense what you're saying, because it does not matter if they're on their Brits or their Dons or their rats or their frogs. Now he says also, do you notice frog never hits Don? Well, yeah, frogs haven't hit anything this map. They hit Bardica once. Like, hello? Like, they never hit Dawn. Well, of course they don't. They're not playing right now. There's no one there. Dawn never hit Frog. French ports flipped right now. And Dons don't hit frog because why would they? Anybody who wants to fight, you don't hit frogs. The pussies hit frogs. Like, hello? If you want to fight, you hit the Brits. You don't fight the rats because they're terrible. They fold. You don't hit the frogs because there's no one there. There's no competition. So, yeah, of course we're going to hit the Brits. Like, hello. Anyway, rats only flip Brits. That's not true, mate. They flip anything around MT. And they don't even show up to the port battles. And when they do, you farm them. They beat you once in a blue moon when like 6 guys log in and I was there on my British tune. Yeah, it happens. Whatever. But like, yeah, most of the time they flip anything near MT, including Santiago, Jabara, is it Principe? I don't even know what it's called. Porta Pax, Jakeem, Irish Point. Doesn't matter who owns them, they hit them. Like, what, you're new to the game? I don't know. Britports are attacked by all nations. It's lame. Well, let's see. You're the biggest population in the game, so Spain's going to hit you because we want fights. You get flipped by one time by French who flipped Bardica, and I think like 2 of them showed up to port battle. Yeah, okay, that's lame. The rats hit you because you have ports near, because you took like IP, and then they hit IP. Oh, like, okay, that's lame. So yeah, they got attacked by all nations, one of which fields players. So, like, great.